Welcome back to Pokemon episode summaries. Today, I'll be doing episode 373, Gaining Groudon. The episode begins right at the end of the last episode, where Ash and the gang had been blasted off away from the ferry, and thanks to Pikachu's Thunderbolt, since Team Rocket had tried to pull Pikachu away, and Ash and the gang tried to pull Pikachu the other way, so Pikachu got all nervous and did a Thunderbolt, and now, because of that, Ash and the gang were stranded at sea, hanging onto logs, trying not to drown, although it was getting kind of difficult, because they've been hanging onto these logs since last night. They were all very frustrated because they were injured as fuck from the Thunderbolt, as well as very tired from not getting any sleep last night, in addition to stress because they didn't know where they were in the ocean, and they were just praying that a ship would come rescue them, when suddenly large waves occurred, and immediately after this, the source of the waves was revealed, as a giant red submarine rose from the water, surfacing right under Ash and the gang, so they were now riding it. Much to Ash and the gang's delight, concluding that someone must have rescued them, and known about them getting thrown off the ferry or some shit. So Ash and the gang call out to the submarine's conning tower, trying to attract whoever had rescued them's attention, also asking if they could be let inside the submarine, but much to their surprise, a Team Magma member rose from the conning tower, indicating that this was actually a Team Magma submarine. Ash and the gang prayed that the Team Magma member, who they noticed was Tabitha, the admin, didn't notice that they called, and they quickly hid behind a portion of the submarine, took out his binoculars, and looked around the area with them. Although Ash and the gang were pissed off at the fact that they weren't actually rescued, but had just ended up on a Team Magma submarine, wanting to fucking curse, they were a bit happy, because at least Tabitha hadn't heard their calling, and had just happened to come up on the calling tower on his own. As the submarine continues on, Ash and the gang see what Tabitha was looking at through his binoculars, which was a much larger ship. And as the submarine heads into an opening in this ship, May realizes that this was likely Team Magma's base that they finally got to see. And this was confirmed as the Team Magma symbol could be seen inside the ship dock area, which was where the submarine first ended up. Tabitha and one other Team Magma member get off the submarine and acknowledge all the other Team Magma grunts, as well as the Team Magma leader, Maxie, who was standing by the docks, waiting for the submarine. And basically, Tabitha and the grunts salute Maxie and shit, because he was the leader and all that. Tabitha then starts reporting to Maxie, likely about why they were out in the submarine in the first place, when Maxie was distracted, immediately noticing Ash and the gang in their hiding spot. Since it was quite visible from Maxie's point of view, Ash and the gang panicked, realizing they were spotted, and tried their best to move along the submarine to find a new place to disappear and hide to. But they obviously couldn't, because they were already caught, and Maxie threatened to harm them unless they put their hands up and went on to the deck of the base. So Ash and the gang were forced to oblige. And then Maxie and all the Team Magma grunts, as well as their Mightyena, that were very angry looking, circled Ash and the gang to basically trap them inside so they couldn't escape. Okay, the grunts had only sent out 2 of the Mightyena, not all of them, but they were scary enough as is. Anyways, Maxie then introduces himself officially to Ash and the gang as Team Magma's leader, and tells them that they didn't need to be afraid so long as they just stayed out of his plans, and ordered them to just go in the submarine and stay there and not do anything while Maxie and his team worked on some shit. While Maxie was saying all this, a female Team Magma grunt then emerged from the submarine, apparently not leaving it before. And she also happened to come out of the submarine without anyone noticing, and she walks another way without anyone noticing. Then Maxie had finished talking to Ash and the gang, and basically forced them inside the submarine, as Tabitha then got Maxie's attention, talking about the possibility of Team Aqua being nearby, and apologizing for the intruders being Ash and the gang. Maxie didn't give a fuck about Ash and the gang, though, and wanted to know why Tabitha thought that Team Aqua could potentially be nearby, leading Tabitha to reveal that he saw Team Aqua's forces on the submarine's sonar radar, but could not confirm if they really were Team Aqua, as he suspected that they were Team Aqua's forces, but he didn't know for sure. Just then, the female Team Magma grunt that had just left the submarine and went in another direction approached a room and saw that it was guarded by 2 male grunts. All the Team Magma female grunt had to do was 2 punches, 1 punch for each of them, and both of those grunts were out cold, so she could go inside the room. Since apparently the door wasn't locked, it was only guarded by 2 incompetent Team Magma grunts. But why would a female Team Magma grunt attack other grunts, you may ask? Well, now that the 2 grunts were gone, when this Team Magma grunt entered the room, she took off her Team Magma hood to reveal her hair, which in turn revealed that she was actually Shelly, the admin of Team Aqua. So Team Aqua was in the Team Magma base after all. Although Shelly was barely even recognizable because she didn't have her hair in the same style that she usually did. Anyways, as soon as Shelly entered the room, she saw none other than a huge, gigantic, legendary Pokémon, Kyogre, tied to a machine. Basically, it was captured in a containment chamber. This was the legendary Pokémon that Team Aqua had been after, and seeing it captured, she expressed a bit of shock that Team Magma had actually been able to capture it. But when the fuck did they do that? How did we not know they had it? Anyways, since Team Aqua wanted Kyogre, Shelly entered a passcode into Kyogre's containment chamber's control panel, because apparently she knew the password somehow, and this released Kyogre from the chamber, releasing hot steam from several air vents connected to the chamber that fully cut the suspenders that Kyogre was caught in. That's great. A legendary Pokemon that's probably one of the strongest in the goddamn world is now free roaming. What could go wrong? Meanwhile, back with Ash and the gang, after Tabitha had completed his report to Maxie, Maxie decided to let Ash and the gang out of the submarine, but he wasn't going to let them go free, no. He was escorting them, along with Tabitha and some other grunts, to his office, and ordered them to sit the fuck down on a couch in the room so that they could talk. Ash didn't want to obey anything that someone evil like Maxie said, so he angrily refused, saying he would rather stand. Although, in response, some of the grunts in the room just sent out more Mightyena. Now, there was 3 of them, and the Mightyena growled fiercely at the gang, frightening May and Max, especially, who convinced Ash that they should sit down and just obey Maxie for now, and Ash, somewhat scared as well, obliged, along with Brock. Although, just because Ash sat down doesn't mean he was happy, and he instantly revealed to Maxie that he knew that Team Magma wanted to control an ancient Pokemon. After all their incidents with Team Magma, like the one at the Weather Institute, or the one at the Oceanic Museum, yeah, you know the ones. And Ash basically said his usual hero spiel, which was that using a Pokemon for your own benefit was really wrong. Though, in response, the Mightyena growled at Ash, frightening May and Max, who begged Ash to quit arguing so that the Mightyena wouldn't maul them. Fucking pussies. Ash refused to calm down, though, stating that this Team Magma had no reason to get mad at him because he was just telling the truth of what they really wanted to do. Tabitha actually agrees with Max and May and tells Ash to calm the fuck down and watch his mouth, saying that no one would talk to their great leader Maxie the way Ash was talking to him. Although, ironically, Maxie tells Tabitha to calm down, stating that instead of yelling at Ash and gang, he was going to try and explain their motives as to why they wanted to use the ancient Pokemon for their benefit, stating that they didn't just want to use it for their own benefit, but for the benefit of the entire world, since they wanted to unravel the world's mysteries by using the ancient Pokemon to increase the world's landmass. Basically, it was just their plan from the games. The more land that they had available, the more space they had for human advancement, and the more human advancement meant the more mysteries that could be solved. Maxie then admitted that the ancient Pokemon they were trying to awaken was none other than Groudon, as Groudon helped with increasing the landmass. Although, Ash then asks how Team Aqua factored into their plans, and why they were against them and shit, leading Maxie to claim that Team Aqua were crooks, and had nothing in common with Team Magma, although Ash refused to believe this, thinking that Team Aqua and Team Magma were both as evil. Not wanting Ash to get super angry again and anger the Mightyena, Brock decided to change the subject, questioning how Team Magma even intended to capture Pokemon like Groudon, since capturing a legendary Pokemon would be very, very difficult. Although Maxie confirmed that it wasn't that difficult if you had the right tools, pulling out something called a blue orb, which, much to Ash and the gang's shock, Maxie revealed that Team Magma used this blue orb to help them capture another ancient Pokemon already, Kyogre, who worked in conjunction with Groudon to create the world that everyone knew today, with Groudon creating land and Kyogre creating sea. Maxie added, however, that Kyogre was useless to Team Magma, as it couldn't expand the land. Only Groudon could do that by summoning volcanoes to both expand the land and get rid of thunderstorms that caused floods to get rid of land, and that's precisely why they wanted to use Groudon. However, the reason why Team Magma had captured Kyogre was because they were aware Team Aqua wanted to stop them, and they knew that Team Aqua wanted Kyogre for their goal. Maxie had also received intel that Team Aqua had a Groudon. Because of this, Team Magma wanted to swap legendary Pokemon with Team Aqua, and were planning to meet with Team Aqua on the nearby Monsu Island to trade. And Team Magma was confident that Team Aqua would, in fact, trade with them and not deceive them, since Team Magma had the blue orb that Maxie continued to show, while Team Aqua had a red orb, and the blue orb was capable of controlling Groudon, and the red orb was capable of controlling Kyogre, so Team Aqua would obviously want the Pokemon that they were able to control with the red orb, since they had the red orb. Maxie then assured Ash and the gang that the truce with Team Aqua would only be temporary, because once he could control Groudon, Team Magma would have ultimate power, and they could use that power to not only increase the world's land, but defeat Team Aqua, and get them out of their hair for good. After Maxie's explanation, he figured that maybe Ash and the gang would now be on Team Magma's side, but seeing that they were still against Maxie using a Pokemon for his own advantage, Maxie ordered Tabitha to lock Ash and the gang up in a cell that was on the base, since Ash and the gang could potentially be a threat. Meanwhile, while this was going on, Shelly had managed to use the air vents to release even more steam to fully free Kyogre, and also awaken it. This, however, sounded a massively loud alarm that echoed throughout the entire goddamn base, including Maxie's office. Maxie hit a button to trigger the intercom machine on his desk that got him in contact with several magma grunts who were all over the base, and he ordered one of them to tell him what the fuck was going on, leaving one of the grunts to explain the situation, stating that Kyogre had been freed from its capture system because someone appeared to have hacked in. Or they just, entered the password, but regardless, Kyogre had now fully awakened, and Shelly called for it to fully break free, and it did, fully shattering the rest of the metal bonds that held it into place without much difficulty at all, but it couldn't break the muzzle that was over its mouth. It decided to just keep it on, though, as it broke out through the wall of the base and went into the ocean, making huge waves and causing the Team Magma base to tilt to one side. Shelly then radios her Team Aqua grunts on an intercom to report how she successfully freed Kyogre, when just then, as the grunts were reporting this to Shelly's leader and Team Aqua's leader overall, a Team Magma grunt confronts Shelly and admits that he had seen Shelly free Kyogre and was impressed with the fact that she was able to accomplish this. Shelly thanked the Team Magma grunt for the compliment, but stated her belief that this Team Magma grunt wasn't even a Team Magma grunt if he was happy that Kyogre was freed. The Team Magma grunt doesn't confirm nor deny if he was one, but stated that he did in fact want Kyogre free, though he wanted it to go free so that it wouldn't cause any trouble, and stated that he knew that Shelly was planning to cause trouble with Kyogre if she tried to control it with the red orb, and stated his belief that even though the red orb was supposed to control Kyogre, it likely wouldn't even be able to, because Kyogre was so strong. Shelley confirmed that this was indeed a possibility, but nonetheless, Team Aqua was going to accomplish their goal either way, even if they couldn't control Kyogre. And then she removed her Team Magma disguise, revealing her Team Aqua wetsuit, because there was no point to keep her disguise anymore, and leaped overboard, diving into the water. The Team Magma Grunt knew that Team Aqua was powerful, but he wasn't scared of them at all, because he was powerful as well. Because he wasn't a Team Magma Grunt. He was actually Lance, disguised as one, currently in the midst of his latest Pokemon G-Men mission. Yeah, that's right, Lance, the champion of Kanto and Johto at this point, was now trying to stop Team Aqua and Team Magma, which was why he had gone undercover as a Team Magma member. Meanwhile, back in Maxie's office, he was getting plenty of different intercom reports from a whole bunch of different Team Magma members that had reportedly seen Kyogre break out of the ship and all that. So Maxie decided that it was best to call for security to try and get Kyogre captured again, not knowing that it had already fully escaped. Suddenly, as Kyogre was escaping, it unleashed a blast of power, which caused a crashing sound as Maxie fell over from the force of the earthquake-like thing that the blast created, and when he fell down, the blue orb went flying off of his desk and was now floating in midair, leading Brock to suggest that Ash find a way to get it before it fell back into Team Magma's hands, and Ash obliged, sending Pikachu to go get it. Right as Pikachu jumps up to go grab it, though, Tabitha sends forth 3 Mightyena and tells them to jump up and stop Pikachu from grabbing the orb and grab the orb themselves, although Pikachu just bounces off of the Mightyena's heads from head to head to head, and eventually manages to use the momentum to get to the blue orb and then lands on the ground. Pikachu was pleased to have caught the orb, as was Ash, but then we cut to a creature opening its eye and a growl. It was either Groudon or Kyogre, but the view was kind of obscured, and suddenly the blue orb started to glow and absorb itself into Pikachu's body. The glow was a red symbol of some kind on the orb, and Pikachu now had a bit of a red glow as well, as it writhed in pain for a bit, signifying that the orb was hurting it. Since this was obviously keeping Pikachu pretty occupied, Maxie ordered Tabitha to send 3 of the Mightyena to go attack Pikachu and try and steal the orb back from it. But as the Mightyena lunged towards Pikachu, who has become possessed by the blue orb, developing strange red marks on its head, heard the Mightyena approaching, so it turned around and instantly knocked out all 3 of the Mightyena in one blow with a supercharged Thunderbolt. Shocking Ash, as he didn't even order this attack, and they were also shocked to see the red marks on Pikachu, and how much more powerful this Thunderbolt was than usual. The possession that Pikachu was experiencing from the blue orb was clearly taking its toll on it, though, as it was swaying back and forth from the pain it was experiencing. Seeing Pikachu weak, Tabitha takes the opportunity to go to send out his Golbat, but right as he takes out the Pokeball, before he could send Golbat out, another explosion hits the wall of Maxie's office behind him. Right as Maxie had stood back up, but he went falling down again because of the explosion, and Tabitha fell down as well. And with both Maxie and Tabitha distracted, Ash and the gang took the opportunity to escape, running out of the office, as Tabitha helped Maxie and himself up. Maxie instantly saw that Ash and the gang had escaped with Pikachu, who had the blue orb, so Maxie declared that they had to get Pikachu back so that they could get the blue orb back. Meanwhile, not far away from Team Magma's base, Team Aqua's submarine surfaced, and eventually found Shelly, who climbed back into the submarine and went to the top of it, only to see none other than the Team Aqua leader, Archie, and Shelly informed him of her success, saying that the operation to release Kyogre was successful. Archie complimented Shelly, stating how he was glad to have such a competent admin, as he pulled out the red orb that he had and used it to cause Kyogre to appear before them, causing a huge wave in the process. It seemed as though the red orb was actually able to control Kyogre, even though Lance had his doubts. Anyways, the red orb gave Kyogre extra power as well, and this allowed it to break off the muzzle that was still on its mouth, and this allowed it to do as Archie commanded, which was to use a Hyper Beam on Team Magma's ship, obviously severely damaging Team Magma's base ship, and a red glow filled the area because of the red orb being used. Anyways, on the Team Magma base ship, Lance was about to send out his Dragonite, pulling out its Pokeball, noting that the situation has now turned drastic, and he was going to see if his Dragonite at least had enough power to subdue Kyogre. And even if it couldn't, he was at least going to use Dragonite to go fly to get some help from other Pokemon G-Men members, but right before Lance could send out his Dragonite, he got distracted as he noticed Ash and the gang on the deck below him, looking out over some bars, since they had run out of Team Maxie's office. Lance immediately recognized Ash, although not Max and May, since he'd never seen them before, and Brock sort of rang a bell, but it was primarily Ash that he recognized, and he wondered how the fuck Ash was involved with this whole situation. Anyways, as Ash and the gang looked down from the deck into the water below, Brock noted that the base was being fucking destroyed, so their only chance of survival was to abandon ship by diving into the water. So Brock did so, diving into the water with May and Max as well. Ash was about to follow suit, but right before he could take Pikachu and jump into the water, Tabitha arrived and sent forth one of his Mightyena to catch Ash off guard and unexpectedly knock him and Pikachu to the ground. And then Tabitha approached Ash and bragged about how he had stopped him and how fucking awesome he was and all that, and ordered Ash to come with him, presumably wanting to take the blue orb back. Ash wanted to refuse, but he realized that Tabitha was right. He was cornered by not just one Mightyena, but 3 Mightyena. So Ash was forced to comply. Meanwhile, Brock, May, and Max had surfaced above water, and they wondered where the fuck Ash was, realizing that he was missing when they realized that he had been captured as they watched just above the remains of the sinking Team Magma base. Tabitha forcing Ash aboard a waiting helicopter with several Team Magma grunts aboard already, along with all of Team Magma's Mightyena. As for Maxie, he had already been evacuated in a separate helicopter on the way to Monsu Island. Among the grunts on the ship was also Lance, still in disguise as a Team Magma grunt. Lance listened intently to Tabitha as he conversed with the other actual Team Magma grunts, informing them that the helicopter was going to be on its way to Monsu Island, where Maxie had already arrived in the other helicopter. With that, the helicopter takes off from the sinking Team Magma base towards Monsu Island as Archie watches from Team Aqua's sub. Even though he wouldn't kill Team Magma by doing this, since they'd all evacuated, he figured he would at least put Team Magma down some money by finishing off what was left of the Team Magma base, using the red orb to power up Kyogre to use more hyper beams to completely destroy Team Magma's ship, causing it to sink underwater, along with Team Magma's submarine, which was docked inside. When the base sinks, this caused massive waves, obviously, and a powerful downward current that pushed May, Max, and Brock, who were still in the water, deeper into the water, and making them essentially close to drowning. However, Brock, May, and Max actually had a chance of being saved because something was following them down into the water. It was a Pokémon. Kyogre then splashes around in the water furiously, coming up from the destroyed wreckage of Team Magma's base, as Archie laughs, remarking that he and Kyogre could definitely make a good team. Damn. We then cut to Monsu Island, although we see people you may not expect. We see Team Rocket, because after the whole incident last episode from Pikachu's Thunderbolt, they had happened to blast off to Monsu Island, and they were extremely injured, exhausted, and had the wind knocked out of them from the blast off, simply just lying on the shore. Just then, Team Magma had arrived on Monsu Island, as Team Rocket recognized their helicopter flying overhead, and wondered what the hell they were doing. Despite how exhausted Team Rocket was, Meowth encouraged the three of them to get the fuck up and track down Team Magma so they could find out what the fuck they were doing, and Wobbuffet emerged, having sunk down into the sand after the blast off, along with Chimecho, and they agreed as well. Meanwhile, back with Brock, Max, and May, the Pokemon that had been following them rescued them right before they drowned, as they were rescued by the Pokemon, none other than Lance's red Gyarados that he caught back in Johto. It turns out that Lance had feared that something bad could have happened to May, Brock, and Max, and he sent out his Gyarados to rescue them. Initially, after May, Max, and Brock had regained consciousness, after almost drowning, Max and May were terrified of the red Gyarados because, for one, it wasn't a regular colored Gyarados, and two, they knew that Gyarados were dangerous, and they didn't recognize it. But Brock, on the other hand, recognized the red Gyarados as Lance's because he was the only trainer in the fucking world who had a red Gyarados, apparently, so he knew that the red Gyarados was not going to harm them and had instead saved them. Meanwhile, at some summit building at Monsu Island, Team Aqua was already there, including Archie and Shelly, waiting for Team Magma to arrive, so both teams could meet up. And finally, Team Magma arrives in their helicopter. Two helicopters, actually, one with Maxie and one with Tabitha and the rest of the grunts. So it was now time for the swap of the Pokemon, supposedly. As Team Magma get out of their helicopter, Archie greets Maxie, who is immediately disgusted by the mere sight of Team Aqua. Especially when Archie had his grunts bring out two Team Magma spies that had been spying on Team Aqua. Basically, Maxie had planned to backstab Team Aqua and try and steal Groudon itself, not trusting that Archie was going to hand it over. And he definitely wasn't now, because he was angry, and now made Maxie a new deal, stating that the deal never would have involved Archie giving Maxie Groudon. And since Archie was super disgusted, Maxie would even think of sabotaging the meeting. Although Maxie replied that Groudon would be of no use to Team Aqua, so there was no use for Team Aqua to keep it. Although Archie just laughed at this, stating that he could just have control of both Kyogre and Groudon, so he could use Kyogre for his own plans and then keep Groudon to stop Team Magma from doing anything, and officially declared that once he had control of both Kyogre and Groudon, then Team Magma would finally fall and Team Aqua would rise. Basically, Team Magma would be done, Team Aqua would win. Archie then taunts Maxie by holding up the red orb and declaring that the only deal he'd be willing to make now would be the blue orb in exchange for the two Team Magma hostages he had, so Team Aqua could have both orbs, which made Maxie infuriated. He obviously wasn't going to go through with that offer. Meanwhile, Team Rocket were spying on Maxie and Archie's conversation from some bushes not too far away, and were intrigued by the mention of Groudon and Kyogre, assuming that they must have been rare Pokemon, and wanting them for themselves. Archie and Maxie then continue talking as Team Rocket keeps listening, and Archie reveals to Maxie that since he already had the red orb that could control Kyogre, he would be unstoppable if he could get the blue orb as well and control both of them. He just continued to taunt this. Team Rocket were initially impressed by the fact that Archie had the balls to ask for the second orb they didn't have, but they realized that if they could get their hands on both orbs, then they could control both Groudon and Kyogre and give them to Giovanni. So they declared that they were going to steal both orbs to steal Groudon and Kyogre. And Wobbuffet popped out to agree with this, although Jessie quickly recalled it, as Team Rocket cheered at the fact that they would likely get promotions from this. Meanwhile, we then see the Team Magma helicopter, which was being guarded by several grunts outside of it, while Ash and Pikachu were still being held hostage inside, and Ash was holding Pikachu tightly and trying to comfort it since it was still in pain from having absorbed a lot of the power from the blue orb. The blue orb may have been removed from Pikachu, but he was still possessed by its effects and was feeling the pain. The possession then took full control of Pikachu again, as he started to develop those red markings from the orb once again, and was able to use its newfound possessive power to break free of Ash's grip, and then it goes insane, rushing out massive bursts of thunderbolts everywhere, including one that almost hits Ash and almost fucking kills him, but Pikachu then gets extremely tired from causing all these explosions with its thunderbolt and ends up fainting. Ash was obviously worried for his exhausted friend and picked him up, only for Lance, still in his Team Magma disguise, to enter the helicopter. Ash gets angry at first, believing that this was an actual Team Magma member, but Lance assures Ash that he did not come to take Pikachu, or harm Pikachu or Ash for that matter, and takes off his disguise, revealing himself as Lance. Ash was very glad to see a familiar face, although he questioned what Lance was doing in the first place, leading Lance to reveal that he was on another mission for the Pokemon G-Men, and was supposed to stop both Team Magma and Team Aqua, who both wanted to use the legendary Pokemon Kyogre and Groudon for their own uses. Team Aqua had the same plan they had in the games as well, where they basically wanted to use Kyogre to make nothing but water, as opposed to Groudon and nothing but land. though Lance had to be very quiet when explaining all this, to avoid the other magma grunts being alerted to them. Anyways, Lance then turned his attention to Pikachu, wondering what had happened to it, leading Ash to explain that Pikachu had absorbed the blue orb. Since Lance knew shit about the red and blue orbs, he was able to say that the reason why Pikachu was acting so strange was definitely because of the blue orb and how he couldn't control its power. And he also revealed that the blue and red orbs were supposed to control only Kyogre and Groudon because they had such immense power, so any living being that wasn't Kyogre and Groudon could not withstand the power of the orbs because they were just meant to suppress too much power that even Pikachu didn't have. And also, the orbs were meant to only affect Kyogre and Groudon, and like, they were meant to control them, so it meant that therefore their minds were affected, and they were essentially being mind controlled, so any other Pokemon would become mind controlled as well, just to a much greater extent even, because they couldn't handle the power as well. So basically, Pikachu was being mind controlled by the blue orb. Ash was worried about this, but Lance assured Ash that Pikachu wasn't really in any life-threatening danger, and assured Ash that he would do his absolute best to help out Ash and try and stop Team Magma and Team Aqua. He said he would see if he could potentially save Pikachu from the effects of the blue orb. Meanwhile, as for Brock, May, and Max, they were now riding on Lance's Gyarados, and Brock had told them about Lance and his Gyarados, introducing Lance as the former Kanto Elite Four, but now the Indigo League champion and the Johto League champion as well. Also, Brock was telling May and Max about how he and Ash had met Lance before back in Johto, and they even saw him catch this red Gyarados, and explained more about Lance, leaving Max impressed with how Lance was really a Dragon-type trainer, when Dragon-types were some of the hardest types to train, and he felt reassured that there was a Dragon-type trainer on their side now, and May was just reassured that there was someone else on their side regardless, thinking that maybe they actually stood a chance against Team Magma and Team Aqua and whatever they were planning. And May and Max also trusted Lance's Gyarados now, and weren't scared of it whatsoever. Max then notices an island in the distance and uses his Pokénav to find out that Gyarados was taking them to Monsu Island, which Brock remembered as the island where Team Magma and Team Aqua were meeting up, and since Ash was taken in Team Magma's helicopter, Ash and Pikachu had to be there as well. So, with that, Brock, May, and Max officially went on Gyarados to Monsu Island. Meanwhile, back with Team Rocket, they had overheard some Team Aqua grunts talking, while Archie and Maxie were talking, and they revealed that not only was Kyogre captured aboard Team Aqua's submarine, after Archie had used the blue orb to make it go in there, but Groudon was also in the sub, in a different container as well. So, knowing Kyogre and Groudon's location, all they had to do was sneak in to the submarine, though there was a bit of a problem. Inside the submarine, where Groudon and Kyogre were being kept, two Team Aqua grunts were patrolling with one Groudon each to look out for intruders, although Team Rocket simply broke in and then hid away from the guards by hiding away in one of the storage containers in the submarine, although part of the walls of one of the containers fell down, and this reveals Team Rocket, but luckily, both the grunts were gone by the time this happened, so their disguise worked. They basically hid behind one of the walls of the storage containers, and everything was a-okay. So, now that the Team Aqua grunts had no clue they were there, they tiptoed and eventually came to a control panel and a monitor that showed where Kyogre was being held now. Team Rocket were elated, as Jessie pulled out a bazooka, preparing to shoot a net out of it to capture Kyogre, while Meowth pressed some buttons, trying to enter a passcode to release Kyogre, although the passcode that he thought might work did not work, so he resorted to pressing a random-ass goddamn buttons, as Jessie and James teased Meowth for not knowing the true password, and eventually he presses so many random buttons that the computer, like, self-destructs or some shit, and doesn't even work anymore. Jessie and Meowth started to argue, with Jessie scolding Meowth for breaking the computer, and Meowth trying to defend himself, stating that Jessie should have known the password or something, it shouldn't have all been relying on him. But Wobbuffet then notices that the computer wasn't entirely destroyed yet, it was still somewhat active, and there was another button he could press, and he pressed it, and this ended up destroying the computer for real this time, with an explosion. The computer being destroyed actually was a good thing though, because it overrided the computer system entirely and opened up the door of the room that Team Rocket knew contained Kyogre after looking at it on the monitor before it exploded. So Team Rocket celebrated. Now they just had to grab Kyogre, but before they could, Team Rocket's celebration was interrupted by the two Team Aqua grunts and their two Crawdons who had made their way back to the area. Meanwhile, outside of Team Aqua's sub, and back with Team Magma and Team Aqua, dark clouds had gathered in the sky, and the two Aqua grunts that found Team Rocket had just reported to Shelly through the radio about some intruders in the submarine trying to release Kyogre. So, Archie instantly accused Team Magma and Maxie for trying to sabotage the meeting even more, and trying to steal Groudon and Kyogre, so that Archie could not have either Groudon or Kyogre, although Maxie denied that he had any involvement in the intruders. And just then, Max, May, and Brock had arrived on the island and were running towards Team Magma and Team Aqua. Meanwhile, right as a storm was starting outside, thanks to the storm clouds that had gathered, James decided to send out his Cacnea, who surprisingly didn't hug him and prickle him this time, to deal with the two Team Aqua grunts and their Crawdon, specifically having Cacnea use Pin Missile, and sure enough, this Pin Missile hurts both the two Crawdon and the Team Aqua members, knocking them down, so Team Rocket was able to run by them and approach Kyogre's tank, after going inside the door that was opened. Jessie then finally used her bazooka to fire a net that captured Kyogre, that came out of a torpedo that was launched from the bazooka. Although Jessie didn't stop there, because once Kyogre was captured, she then pressed a button on the bazooka that electrified the net, which sent shockwaves all through Kyogre, making Jessie laugh, as now Kyogre was getting a bit weakened, since water types like Kyogre were weakened from electric attacks. Although Jesse soon realized that, despite this, the electricity wasn't really doing much whatsoever, since Kyogre was way too strong beyond being a legendary. And all the electricity really ended up doing was fully awakening Kyogre, giving it a wake-up jolt, and it angered it. And Kyogre was so angry that it was able to jump out of the tank that it was placed in, and broke out of the net, sending it right back onto Team Rocket, as the net was still electrified, and this meant that Team Rocket got electrified, and the electricity was so strong that it sent Team Rocket blasting off, just like Pikachu's Thunderbolt would. The explosion also caused a fire aboard Team Aqua's sub, and the fire was quickly surrounding Groudon's containment chamber. The fire did start in Kyogre's, but it had already spread, and now Groudon was potentially at risk. Although at least Groudon was still asleep, unlike Kyogre, which was fully awake. And since Kyogre was fully awake, Ash, who was still captive in Team Magma's helicopter, was holding Pikachu, trying desperately to calm it down since it was going insane, laying out bolts of electricity everywhere, even hurting Ash. Despite getting hurt, he wouldn't let go of Pikachu though, because he knew that Pikachu wasn't hurting him on purpose. He was only hurting him because he was under the control of the Blue Orb, and the Blue Orb had just made him go super insane, since Kyogre must have awakened. And yes, Kyogre was the reason for the Blue Orb's new, even more intense power. So, the episode then ends with Ash trying to calm down Pikachu as he went insane, but he was failing miserably, Kyogre breaking out of the flaming sub, being set loose now in the ocean, while Groudon was close to waking up from all the ruckus as well. If Groudon and Kyogre woke up at the same time, boy, it'd be fucking mayhem, but we'll see that in episode 374.